Hey guys, so today we got up and we came straight here to the Alaskan Wildlife Conservation Center. They take in animals that cannot live in the wild and provide them a home and us an education. So without further ado, let's go see what they have at the Wildlife Conservation Center. This is between Anchorage and Seward. This is Twix, and she was found 1 day old in 2018, I think it said. She actually still had her umbilical cord attached to her when she was found. And they're obviously fixing to give her some dinner.
So this is Twix. He was brought into us as a little porket. He was found on a trail with his umbilical cord still attached. So he was only not even a day old by the time we found him, or by the time he was brought into us. He was bottle raised, so he has a very close relationship with humans. And that's also one reason why he has this begging behavior of the varieties that he has. We're also are picky, and we do not like carrots.
They're so big. This guy's name is Adonis. He has been here with the Wildlife Conservation Center for 28 years because somebody shot him and his left wing had to be amputated. So he cannot fly, so he is allowed to have his life here in a safe place where predators can't get to him. I should mention it says approximately 2,000 to 3,000 of these are shot or poisoned each year. It's illegal to harm an eagle. We've got a little owl in there. It doesn't actually say how come the owl is here, but I'm sure there's a reason. Probably similar to the situation with the eagle. Alright, so you can just barely see the wolves. There's one. There's a couple of them over here. There's one. I do see him. They see, but they're nocturnal. Alright, it's kind of hard to see because they're in the barn. Here's one. Let's look at him. It's caribou, also known as reindeer. The difference is caribou are wild, reindeer are in captivity or farms. You can kind of see them moving around back in there. So this is called a ghost forest. In 1964, the second largest earthquake ever recorded in the world and the largest ever recorded in the United States took place. It was a 9.2. And a lot of the earth dropped 8 to 10 foot. And when it did, it changed the water table, and the salinity in the water killed the trees. And at the same time, that same salt petrified them. And so all over this Turnagain Arm, like in Portage and Girdwood and here, you can see evidence of what they call ghost forests. Check it out, guys. We found a moose, and look what he's got. The beginnings of a rack. He's the first one we've seen with the beginnings of a rack. They drop their rack every single year in the spring and then grow it back every year in the fall. And they grow it really fast. See how tiny it is? In no time at all, that'll be a great big huge moose rack. I swear I'm not talking bad about your rack, I'm just explaining. I swear. I promise. I was just explaining. I'm not saying you got a tiny rack. Are you gonna pretend like you're not real? He's like, if I don't move, they'll think I'm a statue. Here we go. This guy's kind of stinky. We smelled him when we came in. That's how we knew he was here. You can tell that it's dinner time as there's no head on the creature. It's shoved in that bowl. Joining him's dinner. For some reason, these guys are not pinned together. There are several porcupines here, and they're all in separate pens. And I'm guessing it's probably because they don't get along. But I gotta tell you, I'm kind of shocked at how big they are. I didn't realize porcupines were so dadgum big. I mean, I bet that thing is 2 foot long and probably over a foot wide. There's not a moose standing in front of me, but I do want to tell you guys a couple things that it says here. It says that male mooses, the biggest of the bulls, their horns can span 80 inches and weigh 75 pounds. They grow that every single year. It also says that all of the moose here at the Wildlife Conservation were either abandoned or got separated from their mothers and could not have survived had they not been brought here. Here's a couple of girls just laying around. Like we're at the fair and they're cows, but they are cows, but they're moose cows. Trying to ignore all of us humans. This is funny. This is the wildlife petting chart. Ouch. No. Do you have insurance? Think again. Vacation over. How fast are you? Nope. So in other words, don't pet the wildlife. So at least one of these muskoxes named is Artemis. And she came here after a grizzly bear attacked her herd and scattered it. She spent 3 days under a building trying to stay safe before the rescue operation took place. She had to go on a truck, a plane, another truck, and came to live here.
Nice, well, thank you.
Right next to her fresh poop. There's a bigger one laying here. Chewing his cud. In his sleep. They look hot. See how he's breathing? I think they're a little warm. For Alaska standards, it's pretty hot. Yeah.
This is a little warm today.
Look at the view these animals have. How soft he looks. Then we got this guy, him just taking a nap. Got a pillow and everything.
Close to the bears without being in danger. Oh, no, Abby, you won't come up. Yeah.
That one there's thinking about possibly laying down and taking a nap too. That one's about the same size as the one we saw walking down the road.
Dang it, why do you keep moving?
We just found a third one. We didn't even see him laying up there. That's quite a picture.
Have it. See the cave?
He's a flame tip. I was gonna say his ears are lighter. God, he's huge. That's a big bear, folks. Look, he's smelling where that other one was just a second ago.
See this one has little light colored ears? Like little yellowish ears.
Look at his
Any more animals?
You can really see his claws.
Oh, it's like a baby pup.
No, these are black bears.
For those of you listening to other people talk, that's a grizzly. Look at him. Doesn't he just look sweet? Him just looks like you could go and snuggle with him. Somebody found a place to cool off. So all three of these bears were orphaned. This is a size comparison between the black bear, the brown bear, aka grizzly, and the polar bear, which unfortunately we will not get to see on our trip because it's not polar bear season and we're not going far enough north. Things talking about how these bears, these brown bears, came to be here. That little female you saw sleeping on the log, she came because two hunters found her, two snowmobilers found her, and she was covered in porcupine quills and her mother had abandoned her. She was only 10 pounds when she was brought in. The other two bears, their mama killed a moose calf in a resident's backyard. The resident was concerned that the bear would try to harm his dog and shot and killed the bear, not knowing she had babies in a nearby tree. So brother and sister came to live here. So we've got a brother, a sister, and a young female over there. And just wanted to point out, all brown bears and grizzly bears are the same. So we got some bull elks here. Finally found them. They were separated from the females, probably to keep random babyage from happening. Is that the elk making that noise? Here comes a sweet girl. She says the grass is greener on the other side. The grass is greener on the other side, isn't it, honey? This is just some of the view here. This is a little piece of the Turnagain Arm. It's got to be, because these are mud flats that are left when the tide goes out. They're extremely dangerous. You do not want to get down there in those. You will sink into that mud, get stuck, and then as the tide comes back in, you will drown. Everywhere we go, there are signs that say dangerous mud flats and waters. So don't go in there. I forgot to mention a second ago that that bear enclosure back there is the largest in the world, right?
You said the U.S.
Largest in the U.S. It was 18 acres of land for those bears. Pretty cool. And they had a natural water source running through them too. All right, so these are wood bison. This is the same thing we saw coming through the Yukon. You can see he's looking at us. We're trying to keep our distance. And of course there is a fence. We're not gonna be crazy people gonna go up and take a selfie with the bison and get gored. But these guys are the biggest bison. They're bigger than the ones we have back home. Oh, did you, little baby? I can see him out there. He's a little darker than the babies we saw on the side of the road. That big old bull. You being a bit of a spitfire, huh?
It's like this was trying to keep that one from getting a drink.
Are you guys being a spitfire? Look at her water blocking that girl.
She is. You're not being nice. You're the next one to get the ride.
She doesn't want her getting a drink.
Nice. Not nice at all. Break it up, sister. You know, you are bigger than her.
Now they're teaming up on it.
Okay. Get your drink. Get your drink.
That one's
not nice.
spicy. We're gonna name her Amy. She's not looking. Come get a drink.
Taking a bath.
I don't think I want to be in that anyway.
I'm gonna stand here. When she starts pawing, I'm gonna get a picture of Randy.
Well, I wonder why Randy's shirt is no longer white.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. I'm not dirty. Yeah, you're me. Okay, you feel better now? No, I'm gonna come down here and feel. You'll see it. It's like the one we saw the other day, but healthy.
Right.
Thank you.
So pretty. Hey guys. So I just wanted to tell you guys how awesome this Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center is. We had a great time. It was $20 to get in. All the proceeds are going to take care of animals and restore the wildlife here in Alaska. Every animal here, to my understanding, is here because it couldn't be in the wild. It was either orphaned or injured in such a way that it would not have survived had it continued to live out there. So they brought it in here. They're able to take care of them. They have huge enclosures. There's a few exceptions to that, but the bigger animals all have a lot of space. You can really see the animals up close and see the way that they're acting and they behave. The gift shop was amazing. Again, all the proceeds are going to help these animals, so it's something well worth doing. This is between Anchorage and Seward on the Seward Highway. I would strongly encourage you, if you come here, to come check out the Wildlife Conservation Center. Super, super cool. Also, we just had a really good reindeer hot dog that we got on our way out, and it was delicious and hit the spot because it's 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We haven't eaten because we didn't realize how long this thing was going to take us to do. But we feel better now. We're no longer hangry, and I think we can continue down the road. On that video that we took of the female elk kicking and stomping and splashing the water, they actually called over some animal specialists as we were fixing to walk away, because that is a very unusual behavior, and the caretakers had never seen that before. And so she had actually called over the specialists so they could study them and try to figure out if they were doing that because of the heat or because of biting insects or what, because there was actually 2 of them splashing water on themselves like that before it was all said and done. So that was kind of interesting to experience. Alright guys, we're here at Earthquake Park in Anchorage. This park is in commemorative of the earthquake that hit in 1964 that changed a lot of Anchorage and Alaska. And so it is about the landslide that happened here. So we're going to go walk through here and read some of the things and learn a little bit about what happened in this part after the earthquake. Okay, so we're up here on this thing and you can kind of see here. Before the earthquake, this green line here represents the bluff line. But after the earthquake, you can see where it's collapsed. And so you can kind of see, looking through here, now there's trees up here and then they dip down quite a little bit. And you can kind of see it down there. All of this slid and broke. So this thing's talking about the earthquake. It says that it happened 80 miles east of Anchorage in an uninhabited area of the Prince William Sound, and it exploded with a force greater than the eruption of Mount St. Helens, and 100,000 square miles of the Earth's surface was vertically and horizontally displaced. That is crazy. It shook for over 4 minutes. See, crazy. So this one's talking about what happened in Anchorage. There were areas in Anchorage where the ground and pavement dropped as much as 15 feet. Only 9 people died, however, in Anchorage, which is really surprising. Afterwards, they had over 55 strong aftershocks, some measuring 5.0 or higher. When that earthquake struck in Valdez, it opened up fissures that sent water, mud, and sewer 20 foot into the air. There were 28 people on a dock watching the unloading of the SS Chino whenever it hit. The earthquake reached full force. It created a submarine landslide under the harbor area, which created a 40-foot wave that destroyed the harbor, the docks, the canneries, and all of the people on the dock. The boat bottomed out 3 times, rolling and pitching so violently that 3 seamen were killed. When the wave retreated, it threw the China out to sea relatively undamaged. Successive tsunamis completed the destruction of Valdez. After the earthquake, it decided to move to a seismically safer area rather than rebuild. Now it sits 4 miles northwest. In Seward, 45 seconds after the earthquake started, a oil dock facility ruptured, spewing fuel everywhere. As the standard oil tanks overturned, they exploded and caught fire. A wall of water 30 feet high, generated by a submarine landslide and covered in burning oil, swallowed the remaining harbor and dock. 40 oil-filled railroad tank cars exploded in a chain reaction. As the first wave subsided, people made their way to high ground fearing tsunamis. 25 minutes later, the first tsunami hit Seward with a 40-foot wave, moving 100 miles an hour. The waves were still on fire with burning oil. The last tsunami left 10 hours and left 13 people dead. This is a view out to the Turnagain. Right here is part of where the earth just fell off. It's crazy. So Earthquake Park is a pretty neat little stop. Just to kind of get an idea of what took place here. I can't even imagine what it was like to go through that earthquake and the tsunamis that followed. People who survived it, who went through it, still talk about it today. So if you're ever in the town, come by and check out Earthquake Park. We are really fortunate because we have friends nearby, and so we are fixing to head to their house for the night and get a shower, do some laundry, refill our ice right out of their freezer, water out of their tap because everybody's water comes from the glacier out here. And so it's time for us to go restock and spend the weekend kind of relaxing a little bit, and then we're gonna head north. So we'll see you guys soon.